Yes.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7:05. It's that all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Next on the agenda is roll call. Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Queen Forrest,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson,
Present.
Trustee Betsy Harrison,
Here.
Trustee Richard Tokar,
Here.
Trustee Nick Ranning,
Here.
Trustee Janice Bryan,
Here.
Trustee Ed Palmer.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we will continue on. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the agenda with one amendment, including adding an item number 3 under discussion and action items for boot camp discussion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson and a second by Trustee Betsy Harrison to accept the agenda with an amendment to add under number 3 a discussion and action items for the boot camp discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sound. Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of August 10th, 2022. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of August 10, 2022 as presented by staff.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Janice Bryan and a second by Trustee Richard Toder to approve the minutes of August 10th, 2022 as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sound. The motion carries. Next on the agenda is audience business, and we don't have anybody signed up to speak. Do you guys want to speak, or are you just here to listen? Okay, just want to ask. Next then is announcements. Hi, Heather.
I do have 2 announcements. We may need to put them on future agendas, but I want your feedback, please. The first is the CML Fall District meeting falls on September 28th this year, which is our second meeting in September, our second regular board meeting. It's being held in Pagosa Springs. So what I need to know is if more than 3 of you are interested in attending, then we need to cancel our board meeting. And then staff will attend the board meeting. If 4 or more of you want to go to the CML district meeting, that means we won't have a quorum here. If only 1 or 2 of you want to go, there is still a quorum for this board meeting. So I just need to get a temperature from you all as to, do you think you're going to want to attend the CML district meeting? Should we, excuse me, be canceling the last meeting in September? What do you guys think you're going to want to do?
Is it the last meeting in September or this first meeting?
Last meeting.
Oh, it's the last, it's 28, okay.
So who thinks they want to drive to Pagosa? It's from 4:30 or 4 to 7:30 in the evening at the Springs Spa. And they, we do a legislative update, everybody talks about what they're doing, and they provide hints.
I don't know, those of you that attended the last year's meeting here, Mancos hosted it last year. And we had quite a few from the district. We did it at the community center.
Yeah.
Same thing. Pagosa.
If it fits in my schedule and I'm around, I would go over there.
Yeah. It's interesting, and it's really good for new members to go and meet the CML people. I think we ought to cancel it and go. Because I really think that,
Yeah, I would go.
Are
Denise,
they
do you
giving us
remember
a
attending?
free soak in the hot spring?
Yeah.
They did get out of goodie bag, they did one here.
I know. Okay. Yeah, I would go. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's a good learning. It's a chance for our board members to meet some of the CML staff. It's
Yeah.
also a
Yeah.
chance for us to talk to the other board members from the other towns to learn what they're doing. And I just think I think it's a good thing for us, and it's close. So, Betsy, do you wanna?
I'm just not sure I can.
Okay,
I have to think about it.
okay.
Is that something we need to register for?
We'll take care of that, and if we need to carpool, we can carpool over, because I will be attending.
Right.
I'm sure Jamie will wanna go, we'll ask if the other department heads and Jason wanna go, so we can figure out ways to we can carpool over if we need to.
Yeah, I think it's.
I just don't know where I'll be at then.
All right, we'll just let us know.
So.
And so that was what day? The 28th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will add an item to the next agenda, September 14th, for officially canceling the meeting. So I just wanted to get a pulse, so yes.
If the meeting's canceled, will that affect budget discussions?
Oh, yeah.
No, if we can get through capital at the September workshop, I will have enough to introduce the budget to the public at the first meeting in October. And then we will continue budget discussions.
So it won't need that particular workshop?
That's what we had to do last year too. Because when it was held here, we had to cancel our meeting because we were hosting that meeting.
And then my next, I met with the Mancos Conservation District because we share an intern with them. And one of the things that she brought up is they are going to be starting a monthly meeting. We used to have a trustee that sat on the Mancos Conservation District board, so we were kept apprised of all things water. We have since lost that trustee position, board to board position. I meet with them because we share an intern, but they're going to be starting a stream management plan technical team that will meet once per month. Is there a trustee that wants to attend those meetings? I will be attending just because I'm working with them.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask the trustees, do you all want to appoint someone to attend those meetings? If you do, I'll put that on the next agenda for an action item for you first staff to handle.
How does it, I mean, I would kind of like to have staff handle it because it sort of plays into that whole issue of, you know, we speak as the board, but we're really not. We're just watching. And so that's my thought.
I mean, I'd be interested, but I agree with
It doesn't mean that you can't attend as a citizen.
as a person.
Yeah, anybody who wants, you can attend whatever you want as a citizen. You just, when you go in, say, I'm not here.
Yeah.
Doesn't attend.
Do you know what when they're meeting or?
I don't have any other information.
Okay.
I will bring it back as I get some information from them, but if the, kind of the general consensus is we want staff to handle it, then I won't add this to the next agenda.
Excellent.
I have a question. Is that something you're bringing up, or did they suggest that a trustee come?
We actually just kind of talked about it, and I said, who do you prefer? And she said a trustee or staff. We just want to represent it.
As long as we have a representative.
Gotcha.
I don't have any other announcements right now. It's just kind of all things budget, at least for the next few weeks, and then we'll slow down a bit. I don't know if the department has have anything. James?
Next is committee reports, Region 9.
Nothing new to report at this time.
Okay, CDOT, TPR. Richard.
I haven't heard a single word from anybody.
Okay.
I gonna have to call Kate.
You're on the bad list.
Yeah, I guess I should have never retired.
Do we have to put somebody else on it that they'll talk to?
I don't know.
I reached out to them today. I reached out to Region 9 today because Region 9 coordinates those meetings for CDOT. I did reach out to the person who's handling, Region 9 has had a change in staff, so they have fallen through the cracks.
Gotcha.
I reached out to the person that's now coordinating those meetings, and as soon as I hear back, I'll send them the schedule.
We just have this road
Yeah,
guy over here, so, you know,
Like this.
they won't talk to you. Shame on you. Okay, the Montezuma County Planning Commission, I went to the meeting, the second Thursday of the month, and it was pretty much mostly in the Cortez area. There was a discussion about a new subdivision up by Jackson Lake who has proposed a water tank, and they have their own water rights, so we have enough to fill the tank to provide water for the houses that are in that subdivision up there. So that was given permission to move from the Planning Commission to the Board of the County Commissioners to move forward with what they're doing. So the big subdivision up by Jackson Lake. So and that was it. There were 6 others, but we were in and out of there fairly fast. The public hearings were smooth, no fights. So next is the Montezuma County Commissioner update. Gerald, you're up.
Thank you and good evening. We're starting on our budget process. All of our departments are coming in right now, and we're starting to go through all of that right now. Each one of those budgets is going to be scrutinized way more than it has in the past in order to get our budget down to where it needs to be with what our income's going to be. That process going on right now. Also, I'm going to be Montezuma County's representative on the Southwest Conservation Board in Durango. From now on, that represents 9 counties here in the western corner of the state. Deals mostly with water issues, of course, but I'm going to be the representative on that, so I can bring you back some. We meet every other month, and I'll be able to bring you back some information about what's going on with that. Mostly Colorado River issues and stuff. That's going to be what we mainly deal with over there. They do have a lot of different other programs too, but one of the things that I think which I told them the other day, is their communication as far as out in the public, whether it comes back as part of the issues we had, is we never get a report back. What's going on? And so hopefully that's going to get better. Okay, because and they realize they have an issue with not communicating very well back to the counties and stuff that they're supposed to be representing. So hopefully that's going to change some. Attended the CCI, Colorado Counties meeting in Grand Junction Friday. Basically went through a lot of different bills that they are proposing for next year as far as something that the counties are wanting to move forward. I imagine there was probably, I'm going to say 45 or 50. They'll only work that down to 8 eventually, but I mean, there's a lot of things there that came up and just different issues. One here locally that's close is Durango's old landfill that they've had closed since 95. I think they closed it in 95, whenever that period was, and now they're having a lot of issues with CDPHE because of the water has a little bit of plastic contamination in it, and it's costing them a lot of money. And the issue that they're trying to bring up is these were all closed supposedly in the right way at that time, and now it's going to be a real issue if they have to go. Everybody has to start going back with these old landfills. So that's something that could affect all of us, because when you start looking around Montezuma County, there's at least 5 that I can that have been closed for a long time. But if they're going to start doing this sort of thing, and that's what's happened over there, and it's already cost La Plata County a lot of money. So could be an issue that's coming up, just so you're aware of that. They actually are trying to get some legislation passed to where they can't just go back and make make these counties responsible for paying for all of that, because it's, Marshport and Norton, I think, said that they had spent about $3 million already. So it could be really devastating to the budgets if the state won't pick this up. If they want to do this, to me, they should be paying for it, not the counties. Okay. Anyway, we'll see where that goes. But they've got that was one of the proposed legislations, is to stop that from happening. If the state wants to do it, it's up to them, because they're the ones that certified that they were closed legally at that time. Other things, I met with Senator Hickenlooper last Wednesday night in Dolores over the NCA and how that's progressing and stuff in the Senate. So that he's backing it also with Senator Bennett. So we had some discussion about some other things that are going on also, especially on the Colorado River, all of our water needs here in the Southwest. So, and then Saturday, we also attended the Southwest Cattlemen's Association summer meeting out at the Lewis Area Community Center. So, but basically that's what we've been basically doing. So, but main thing that's going to be happening is our budget here for the next little while. The lovely things. Do you have any other questions?
You have some questions. Go ahead, Denise.
Oh, just a question on that solar farm you reported on.
Yeah.
Is anything moved forward with that anymore?
I know nothing about it.
Okay.
No, actually, no. As far as I know, nothing's been submitted to the county.
Okay.
We have to, pretty much keep our hands off of it, or even be involved with any part of it, because it's going to come before us to be your action as a judge to decide this, and you can't predispose yourself. So we try to keep hands length away. And I explained that to the people out at the Southwest meeting the other night. Is, you may call and want to talk to me about this, but I cannot discuss this with you. You can talk all you want to, but you're not going to get me to say anything because I can't. So you have to be very careful. So
Thanks.
Well, I appreciate you approaching it that way and not getting down into it before you hear the whole story.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Heather had a question.
I did, on the landfill legislation, would it be possible for me to either get a copy of something's proposed, or as it progresses, could you keep me posted on that?
yeah,
I'm
I will.
curiously talking about
I will,
that.
because I tell you, you don't want to bring any attention to your landfills, your old ones. I mean, seriously, because I was in here a couple months ago and you said something about doing something out there.
Yeah. I remember you saying.
Don't even think about it. I'm serious. You don't want to draw any attention to them, because I'm serious. They have spent a ton of money over there. They drill. I forget how many wells they've drilled, like 160.
Oh, wow, test wells.
Yes.
Wow.
See, we
Test
got
wells.
We got our test wells, and we have a report that there's no contamination happening. Yes, I just, before I go any further, because right now, obviously we can't do anything with it. So anyway, if you could just keep me posted or send me a draft.
I will.
Whatever.
And like I said, this is just something they proposed as something for our representatives to bring forward as a bill to help solve some of this problem, because it puts such a heavy load on the community to do this. If it costs that much money to do all this stuff, because I think she said that they had drilled 160 test wells over there, and it's just going on and on, and the fine, they're trying to fine them too, so it's kind of a mess, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. But the other one piece of legislation that somebody suggested was that since there was like almost 700 bills this last legislative session, that they should meet every year to do the budget and every other year, just every other year, to do legislation, so there wouldn't be so many bills. But then it got brought up that that should be 5 years. Since I mean, it's crazy. You cannot keep up with all the stuff. I mean, you just think about 650 some, I think, bills that were actually introduced. And some of these are 300 or 400 pages. You know, they can't even read all of that to begin with. They don't know what's in them. So, you know, and there's lots of states that do have their representation only meet every other year. You know, it's just a fact of how many bills do we need? How many? I don't care what anybody says. Every time they pass one of those, they take more away from you. It does. It takes more of your rights away. They're not giving you anything. They're taking. It's always been that way. Even when we were doing Montezuma Land Use Plan back before I was involved with Montezuma County at all, when we were just writing the plan with Tom Colbert and all of us were doing that, you know, there was an attorney there that was part of the board, and she got up and said, well, the government gives you your rights. The government doesn't give you your rights. Every time they pass something, they take more of your rights away. So, you know, I got really upset with her during that meeting. Tom Corbett was telling me, settle down, settle down. Well, it's
if there's something happening with landfill legislation, if you could just keep me posted, or now I know to keep an eye on it.
oh yeah, we're going to keep an eye on it, you know. So, you know, hopefully we can get something done where you don't have to worry about something happening in the next 10 years that they're going to come back on you about the way that landfill was closed. You know, it's not right if they're going to come back after they've been closed for 25 years or 30 years. A lot of them have been close to 30 years because in the 90s when I think it was 90s, golly, I hate to say, it was either 95 or somewhere right in there. It's when most of those were all completely closed out and okayed with the state. And now to come back this time, want us to do all this other stuff I think they should be paying for it, not us, if they want to do something. And that's what we're going to try to
Anybody else have any
get done.
questions for? Okay,
You guys got anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Bill. Okay, next on the agenda is our discussion and action items. First is the economic development incentives. Oh,
So Jason is working on this now, that's the background for you all. We talked about these for about a year, off and on, when our previous economic development person was here as a consultant. And so the board, previous board, has already decided this is what we want to offer. Region 9 did look at it. David has some questions about the legalities of the property tax rebates and sales tax. So I think maybe what we need to do, I don't know if we can talk about those tonight, or if you want us to table it.
Yeah, I think it'd be best maybe if they would, the research I've done, on it, so far, I'm gonna use more, yes, and we can do, we can refund, personal property tax, or we can refund sales tax or property tax. Real estate tax.
So maybe what we'll do is, I guess I'd like a little direction from the board. Do we want to remove property and sales tax and set this process and what's in there officially right now? Or do we want to have David finish his research, and I will put this on the September 14th agenda for discussion?
I just have a question, what do other towns do? Do they do the property tax and the sales tax? If they can, why can't we? So have we researched to see
That would be a good question.
if other towns are doing this, then why can't we?
I believe they are, but I don't know the legalities.
I'm not aware of that.
I mean, I know other towns are giving incentives, and I think they are giving property tax and sales tax incentives. So, I mean, you hear that all the time.
I'd like to have, allow him to finish.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to know for sure
Right.
before we dive in and start modifying it.
Oh, me too, but I do
Yeah.
want you to check and see if other towns and cities are doing it, because you hear it all the time, and I mean, that's what brings businesses to town. And if they're doing it, then we should be able to do it. So let's just find out.
So we'll bring this back on September 14th. And in the meantime, if you guys can keep this staff report and stuff with the other information and go through that and be prepared to bring those on the 14th kind of thing. If there's anything in the meantime, Larry, please send me an email and I'll bring that back.
Okay. Do you need a motion to, table it until that date certain?
We can do that, and that will hold me to bring it to you. Yes, that will absolutely give us our hard deadline that we wanted to.
Okay. So I move that we table the economic development business incentives policy and application until a date certain of September 14th, so that our town attorney can finish his research on the legalities of what's proposed.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson and a second by Trustee Nick Manning to table the economic development business incentive policy and application until 9/14 to give the attorney time to do more research and bring back to us. Jamie, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Betsy Harrison.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Shepherd.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Jenny David.
Aye.
That motion carries. Okay, moving right along to the fiscal health checkup and utility rate study. Heather?
So in 2015, the town, with funding from DOLA, we didn't pay for this particular document. DOLA had a fiscal-based budgeting program, and they were kind of offering grants and training and that kind of thing. And one of the benefits of that was we received this fiscal or financial checkup. Clifton Larson Allen did it. It is something that I use all the time. I shared it with the chamber. It's just incredibly useful information for project planning and budgeting and long-range decision-making and that kind of thing. I even used it when we were talking about the changes to our land use code along the corridor, mixed use, highway business, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, it is old. The information that they used to compile this was from 2009 to 2013. So I would like to update this. There is no funding, well, let me change that. It is $7,000 to update this document. And we are actually going to be asking them to change indicator number 12 in this document is a maintenance effort ratio. Jason and I met with the representative at Clifton Larson Allen, and we've actually asked them to provide indicator number 12 to the best of their ability with regard to sales tax output businesses in town versus outside of town. Internet sales versus local businesses. So there have been changes to sales tax law since this was drafted. there have been changes to the way the sales tax, the state sends me the sales tax report, so it's easier to mine data. So that's one piece of this, so $7,000. Also in 2014, we did a water rate study, a full study with RPI. Jason has reached out to Gabe on that. Gabe is the representative of RPA. See, can we get it updated? Maybe can we throw some sewer rate in there? I don't know that what we need is to update this whole thing with regard to borrowing power and capital. We already have that, but just with regard to rate studies, recent rate studies. And they have indicated that they could do that for, was it 5,000? 5,000. And I reached out to DOLA to see if, because we have an administrative planning grant for Pass to Mesa Verde, so I reached out to DOLA to see if they would consider an additional administrative planning grant application from the town, and they will. So I can ask for up to 25,000, and it's a 50-50 match. So if the board is so inclined, what we would do is we would firm up the numbers from RPI and compile all of that into one administrative planning grant request from DOLA. And then the process for that is we type a letter, Jeannie signs it, we send it over, they review it, and I go to it. So what I'm thinking is we will probably end up asking for either 15 or 20,000, depending on what RPI comes back with, and we'll be responsible for it. But I do, there's definitely value. And if you want to do just the rate study based on kind of past meetings, we can do that. The financial checkup to date, I really am the only one that uses it. It is very helpful. But I also think it would be helpful moving forward. Provide information to the board, again, share it in the chamber. I'm sure that we can use it in community and economic development departments. So I'm just looking for board feedback and approval if you're so inclined to apply for the DOLA administrative planning grant for these projects.
Question: the $7,000, is that today's dollars, or was that what this 2015 study cost for financial checkup?
In 2015, it was 38.
Okay, so $7,000.
The $7,000 is
okay.
And I have it in writing.
Yeah.
So we would get it in writing from RPI as well.
Yeah.
And then submit to DOLA. And if you want just to do one,
yeah.
So Betsy, what do you think?
Well, I mentioned this earlier at the workshop, but I think the fiscal health checkup is just a phenomenal report. I wish I'd seen it sooner.
Yeah.
And so I'm 100% for getting that updated. And I think the great thing would be the water and sewer rates would be very helpful considering what we've gone through the last year. So I would definitely be for both.
Denise?
I agree with Betsy. I think the recommended water rate structure is a good thing, and the healthy, the financial checkup. I think that was really good. So, yep, I'm in favor.
Cindy?
I agree. Both.
Richard?
I'm in favor of both.
Yeah.
It's good to know what you're doing.
Amazing data. Yeah.
Well, and I think Maple has been able to share that information with the other organizations that we're working with. That just makes our bond stronger, and we're not just pulling numbers out of the top of our head. We have it in writing where we're at and where we stand, and that just our credibility grows, and we're also helping them grow by providing this information for them. So I think it's.
Well, what I did underestimate RPI because we've added sewer. We're going to ask them to add sewer to this. So if you're inclined, I would ask for an amount not to exceed 20,000, just to make sure I can raise the RPI, full RPI study.
Do you know when this was received in 2015? Was it utilized? I mean, there's all these categories for recommendations. I mean, how was this used when? Just the financial checkup document. Like, how was that?
We absolutely personally utilize this.
Sure.
this actually then led to another project.
Mhm.
I use the financial piece just because, like when we're looking at sales tax, when we're talking about changes to the land use code, when we're talking about changes to design review guidelines, you know, that kind of thing. What this, excuse me, what this did was this kicked off a study that we did in 2016. It's a capital asset study. So we've definitely used it, and there's other areas that we've used it. We've definitely used it off and on throughout the years. I refer to it all the time, just in my regular.
And we did use the RPI because we did do a rate structure. We have been, we were increasing the water rates gradually every year. You know, the base rate, but then when COVID hit, we kind of backed off to give people a chance on that. But before that, we were increasing it every year. So it was good to know we had the information that we needed to be able to use it, to do that. So I would entertain a motion.
I move we authorize town staff to apply to DOLA for an administrative grant to update our physical health checkup and utility rate study in an amount not to exceed, and did you just say 20,000?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Betsy Harrison and a second by trustee Richard Toker to authorize the town staff to apply to DOLA for an administrative grant to update our physical health checkup and utility rate study in an amount not to exceed $20,000. JD, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Betsy Harrison.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Coker.
Aye.
Trustee McManning.
Aye.
Trustee Denise Bryan.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, moving right along to number 3, the boot camp. Heather.
I'm gonna stutter a little bit on this one. Because I honestly kind of went back and forth on this. Jason's been helping out with this as well. I haven't had the time getting these frequently asked questions in here. I did copy and paste from their website. It's been a little bit difficult for me, honestly. But basically what's happening is through CML, there are some organizations that are offering what they call a boot camp. What it is a 2-year program with 30 classes that will train us and give us the resources to apply for and write successful federal funding applications. We very rarely do that because it's overwhelming, to be honest with you, when you're dealing with the feds. And seriously, up until recently, we've obviously added staff, but up until recently, I was a great writer, and I don't have time to be super honest with you all to deal with all of those federal departments. So that's the bottom line for this. So we did reach out because I honestly, a lot of this will fall on community and economic development. They do require like a mayor and some trustee participation. Public Works we have to build a team. And this team has to commit for 2 years. These classes will run about 4 months. So what we did was we reached out to Region 9, we reached out to the county, and we reached out to the city of Cortez to say, hey, we can build a team with other municipalities and communities, but a municipality has to apply for this. And the deadline is Friday. So,
Of course
and I
it is.
just did the email, I got the email a while ago, and we've been kind of, Region 9 is talking, they have capacity, everybody's still talking, so we have no commitments from those other entities. But at the same time, I wanted to put this before the board because if you would like us to participate, I am going to need some, or it's going to require some board participation. It requires some mayor participation, and it's going to require other participation so we can have trustees. So I kind of wanted to reach out to you all. I definitely think that it's something that can help us. I do have concerns about the timing.
Yes.
So having said that very short thing, I don't know if Jason has anything to add to this, for you all to help make a decision.
We really what we have to submit by the 31st is like a letter of interest.
Mm.
It's all electronic, and we may have already missed the opportunity because it says that you're only willing to select a few hundred cities across the nation, so we may have already missed the boat. Let's try and
Well, and they did, when they, you'll notice in here, what originally stopped me in my tracks and continues to give me pause is their definition of a small town or city is a population of 150,000 people.
Oh, jeez.
So again,
Jeez.
it's free, so we would get free training on how to apply this. They give us the resources because we never apply for federal funding. We either don't hear about them until it's too late, or like I said, the requirements are overwhelming. So it's up to you all. Obviously there's always benefit from training, but the time commitment is pretty heavy.
I think we ought to try. Like you said, we may have missed the boat if they're only going to do 100 across the nation, but all they can do is say yes, and then we're in. And if they say no, we're not out anything because we don't have anything right now anyway. And if we don't try, we're never going to get there. And I think it's something, I mean, no matter whether we ever use it, at least learning how to write the grants and go after them is going to help us write the grants for DOLA and all the other grants that we write and give us some other pointers. So I think we ought to at least send a letter of interest in.
I agree. I think it's really exciting, honestly. I've looked at federal, contracts. They're incredibly intensive, so I get why there's a 2-year training program, 1-year training program. I think it's really exciting. It would open up a whole pool of money that we're not looking at. I do agree with Jason's sentiment, though. I mean, you're looking at cities under 150,000 in this country. There's quite a few, so we may miss the boat on this one, but it's an exciting opportunity. Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to try. What do you think, Richard?
Anything's worth the try, I guess. I mean, especially since it's free, I guess we can throw it in that. Who knows? We may hit the lottery.
Betsy?
Well, I did some other reading on this because at first, when you first sent your email out, you said it was a 2-year commitment that would involve all of us, and I said, oh, wait a minute, what's this? But they're starting out with 5 boot camps, and we can select just one and then form a team, and that would take us 3 or 4 months, and then I would presume that we could say it's not worth it for a town of 1,400, and we just don't do any more boot camps. The other thing was that some of the topics of the first 5, and I don't have them in front of me, I don't see them in this handout, but it didn't seem like they really all applied to us. So I think we could selectively, if we could get approval, selectively pick maybe one boot camp that really would work for us and be very helpful, and put together a team and commit to 3 or 4 months and give it a try.
Yeah. It does say 30 boot camps corresponding with select grant programs over the next 2 years. So, you're right. I think it's 30 distinct categories that they're
right, but there's 5 to start out with.
To start out with, okay.
Yeah, and then there's 30 all together over the 2-year period.
Yeah, so we don't have to get lost in the whole thing. We can just be selective.
Yeah. Janice, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's a great idea also. I'm willing to put in a little effort to be part of and if we get selected to form a team, I think, I'd be willing to do that.
Cindy?
I don't know. How do they do it? Is it online?
Yes.
Or do we send people?
I think it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, that part's over.
Okay. I'm probably not going to have time to do it, but if we do have a couple of trustees and if the mayor's willing and staff is willing, then why not try?
Well, and one of them is one of the 5 is the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. I would also probably see if Carrie has time. So,
Mm-hmm.
we can tailor our teams to
To the topic.
Right.
but the town has to commit to the 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we will
That's all I have.
try it. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Thanks, Jason.
We can
Thank
work
you.
Jason.
Thank you,
And if they
Jason.
ask for names, I'll just put everybody's name in there, if possible. No, seriously, because then we'll just apply,
Yeah.
we'll assign our
Yeah.
teams as the camps come in. So-
And it does say you can only do one team per boot camp at a time. Is there-
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can do different tiers that.
Depending on your interests
I
and
know.
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm
We need
into. I
like
can't.
Yeah.
hours per week breakdown.
Take one for the team.
All right.
Okay, so moving right along, our next is items for the September 14th agenda. We have the 2023 budget discussion workshop. That's going to be at 5:30 again.
It probably should be its capital, so it may require a more intense discussion depending on how the capital discussions with the department heads go and what those numbers look like. It may require, so we should probably do 5:30.
Can Janie order supper?
Yeah, Jamie's in charge. Sorry.
Sorry, you guys can eat some water. Yes, Jamie can order dinner for people.
We can eat the leftovers.
There's probably leftover lasagna for weeks anyway.
Oh, no, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and then next is the August bills and claims. And we're going to move down the economic development incentives.
Discussion about the September 28th board meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
Anybody else have anything that they'd like to add to the agenda for September 14th?
What I am gonna do is send an email to you all about, the CML district meeting, because we do have to get back to Pagosa, sooner rather than later. We respond directly to Pagosa. So I'll be sending an email to find out who is planning on attending that, so we can cut our check and get that over to Pagosa, so they can plan the appropriate space.
All right, then our next is the adjournment. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right.
Thank you. Gosh, no kidding. This is the first time for a long